Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another night of paranormal chat on Lost Limbs Foundation Radio. Oh, Mike just ran back into the room, I think.
I did just run back into the room. We're having
He's
some
still
technical
hooking stuff.
difficulties.
He's still, in other words, he's still hooking things up, trying to get stuff done. But while he's doing that, just kind of throw a little something here. I just had a friend just send me a message that a friend of ours, Amy Klaus, she was been investigating for quite some time and all, and she just recently just passed away tonight. So sorry to hear that. But so yeah, I used to investigate with her when I was on for been paranormal quite a bit, and she's been at the theater quite a few times and all. So good lady, and sorry to hear that she passed away this evening. So
Yeah, sorry to hear that. Sorry, I'm trying to send this. It's like when I send this link over to Jeff, it's just bringing up StreamYard. It's not bringing up the direct link.
uh,
So I'm trying to get in here to see if I can email this over to him, and it's not giving me the option to email it.
yeah, it's yeah, I've already sent an email to him twice already. So not
Yeah,
sure what's going on with that.
yeah, I don't know. He's texting me now. So, what's going on with Robin while I'm doing this?
Not much, just kind of getting things ready for the February 5th date, where we're doing the Unity Day here at the theater. So getting that stuff done, and then just kind of put some things together for the upcoming season. We've actually had some investigations at Ashmore, in the cold weather months. And I had a guy just was out there this weekend that told me that, and I never doubt anybody when they tell me things, but at the same time, it's kind of like hard to imagine. But he said they end up catching like 40 different EVPs in the place, and
Wow.
he said it was kind of crazy. He said he had some people with him that have never had experiences, that did have experiences, and so he kind of mentioned something that I thought was interesting too. He said that he thinks that doing investigations during the winter is a lot better, just because of the fact that there's not the cold. Seems like he thought it kind of keeps the contamination down, and so that the snow and things like that absorb some of the sound, so that you get more EVPs and everything. So I don't know for sure, but yeah, it's a thought anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then going back to what you said a minute ago, I mean, you've got that event coming up. I mean, it's just a matter of a couple of weeks.
right, yep, it's going to be it's coming up pretty quick here, and we've got the first Saturday in February. In fact, I usually always do it the Saturday before Super Bowl, and I couldn't figure out how I screwed up this year, because the Super Bowl's the weekend after. And I'm like, how in the heck did I do that? And but then I found out, because Tim Miley, one of the speakers, is going to be there this year. He said that the NFL added a 17th game. And I'm like, oh, well, that's wild then, because I couldn't figure it out what it was at all. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try something else here with Jeff and see if he. Let's see.
We'll get it. Hopefully, we'll get it here in a minute. So, yeah.
And
sorry, guys, for anybody that's
let's see if
tuning
that
in.
works.
Technical
Okay. difficulties
for a minute here. We'll get it sorted.
Let Jeff know that I sent a on his website. I sent one of the contact things, where I responded, contact Jeff. So I sent something there. I sent the link on that. So maybe he'll get that. And
he didn't
try
get my
that.
email. I sent him an email. He's not getting mine either. I'm trying to copy the link that you sent me, and then I'm going to text it over to him and see if we get it that way.
I'm also letting him know too. I'm sending him the link on. He's got another email address on his website, and I sent the link to that too. It's CPFJ or something like that. It's not secret because it's on his website, but yeah, let him know I sent it. Oh, wait, I think he's there. So he's popped in.
Oh,
so
he did?
I can see there. Yeah, he's there. So
okay, maybe the link I just sent him worked. I don't know.
So something did anyway, but yeah, so
something, yeah.
But yeah, so he's going to be with us there. He's made it
Yeah,
in. So
we got it.
so,
And I'm going to put these in so I can, yeah,
so you can hear.
so I can hear better. And,
So what's happening there at Rhodes? Anything?
not too much. It's kind of quiet lately. So had a group over the weekend that came in, investigated, said they had quite a bit of activity, and that's good. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him too much. I'm having some leg issues, so I'm kind of laying low and not doing much of anything. So
Yep, I
yeah,
can understand that.
yeah,
So, well, since Jeff's got a lot of stuff he can share with us all, I think we just bring him in and get it going
yeah. Let's bring
before
him
we
on.
lose him maybe or something. So,
Yeah, yeah. Before we lose him here.
hey Jeff,
Hey, there he is.
So, Mike, did you just say you had some leg issues?
only a half.
Yeah, well, half a leg issue.
I don't mean to call it out.
No,
I'm
let's
just
hear
saying-
it. Let's do it. Let's do
No,
it. Let's
I'm
do it.
doing it. I just did it.
Yeah, well, I
you
was waiting on some more, because
Yeah, that's how
I think you have
hashtag.
some
That's how I
pretty-
lost my leg. So
Yeah.
before people think I'm just a heartless monster, we were in Michigan, and Mike was telling me how some guy came to his house to do some tree work, and then the guy's looking at him, and Mike's like, yeah. No, I mean, I tried doing it, but points down at his missing leg and goes, "That's how I lost my leg." And the tree surgeon was just like, "Oh." And I'm like, "That's amazing." I would use that story on everything, everywhere. I'd be like, "Hey, at Home Depot, can you get off the top shelf? Can you get me one of those leaf blowers?" I tried getting it, but last time, this is how I lost my leg. I would say it everywhere all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then we did the pictures in Michigan.
That's
Remember,
right.
you helped me with a few of those pictures. Like
So-
when I was laying under the Ecto one, it looked like it ran over my leg.
Yeah, we did. And then under the largest planchette of the world's largest Ouija board.
Yeah.
So,
Yep,
we did
there
we did all
too.
that. So I mean, if you can't laugh, then you're just gonna cry. Am I right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity's there, so let's have fun with it, right?
Well,
I
we got
agree.
that one with your mom up there at Scarefest, but your mom ran over it. That's how you lost your leg. She
Oh
ran
yeah,
over you.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, with the Mystery Machine. Yeah, we did that one. I haven't posted that one yet either.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
endless fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, maybe would not recommend, but still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm glad one of the links actually worked and we got you in here.
Sorry, it just came through and I was like, there it is. And here I am. So thanks for having me.
What you're probably going to get bombarded in your email. It's going to be like 5 or 6 more of them that'll just start popping. I'll be like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my email got COVID or something. I'm not sure.
Could be, right? You
Yeah.
never know. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we're glad that you came on with us tonight, and yeah, it should be a fun night. I mean, it's always a blast hanging out with you, as we already know that from Michigan, right, Robin?
Exactly.
But we're usually
Yeah.
drinking. So this is awkward.
Drink away.
That's what you look
Go
like
grab your
sober.
drinks. Go grab
Here.
your drinks.
Yeah.
There's my
Right
drink.
on. Yeah, I got.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one over there. Yeah, all right. Here, got this mason jar moonshine.
Oh,
There you go.
We get 20 more minutes. Like we'll be like, Jeff,
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
like laying down.
it's
You just
good.
hear like a thump, and you'll just see him disappear from the screen. It was just going to be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to start off, I guess why don't like for people that aren't familiar with you,
Mhm.
which is everybody should be, but for those that might not be, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into it.
I'm a Leo.
Like long walks on the beach.
I do like long walks on the beach. Yeah. So my name's Jeff Belanger, and I'm a paranormal guy, but I love all things paranormal, and I've been doing it a long time, more than 20 years. It started when I was the founder of ghostvillage.com way back in 1999. Then I've written books, like 15 of them so far, and I've been the writer and researcher for every episode of Ghost Adventures since episode 1, and that's going on, my God, 14 years now of doing that. Longest I've ever held any one job. But then I've also worked on some other shows. I've been involved in a lot of the shock docs on Discovery Plus. I've done 6 of those, and I'm about to film the 7th. And I'm just blessed that I get to write about and research and talk about my favorite subject all the time, which is, I mean, it started mainly with ghosts, but also like I get into all kinds of legends. And I also have a weekly podcast called New England Legends, where we just explore a strange story. We cover everything: UFOs, ghosts, monsters, cryptids, and like roadside oddities, you name it, anything weird. And I get to do this full time. So I'm just truly blessed that this is my job and my life and my passion.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to touch on before we kind of go toward the paranormal stuff, a lot of people watch the shows and they do these interviews and stuff, and people see the paranormal side of things, or, you know, if we're doing like alien stuff, then they talk, it's all, I thought maybe we'd start out with like a little more personable stuff, like the climb that you did.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of relate to that, because we had talked about this before. I did Mount Washington,
Yep.
and then, you know, you did this, and like, so what sparked the whole idea for you to want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro?
Yeah, so back in '97, I did climb Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. It's the tallest peak in Africa, 19,341 feet, if you're keeping score, which you should, by the way. And it's God, there's been so many things. Like I took Swahili in college just because it was weird, and that's the language of East Africa. And I've been a hiker, really, you know, most of my adult life. But just like for fun and stuff, and local things, nothing that big. But then back in 2015 rather, I lost my brother-in-law to cancer, and it was he was only a few years older than me, and just like this cancer diagnosis came out of nowhere. You know, it was he was having some stomach problems one day and losing some weight, and he went to his doctor, and they ran tests and more tests, and they said, you know, you've got stage 4 cancer. It's metastasized, tumors everywhere. You got like 18 to 24 months to live. And we were all just like, what? You know, I mean, you're kidding. And he did the chemo, the radiation, all that stuff. He extended it all the way to 26 months. But then he and I got a lot closer during that whole thing. You know, it was I mean, he knows I'm a paranormal guy, you know, and he called me about a year into this thing, and he's just like, hey, you're into some pretty weird stuff, and I'm going through something pretty weird. And I said, yeah, that's both true, you know. And so I felt like he felt like he could talk to me about death and dying, because it's my job. You know what I mean? Like, really, you can't talk about ghosts and hauntings. It's the elephant in the room, you know, like someone had to die. And so we talked a lot about it. I mean, and I learned a lot from him, you know, a whole lot about like just he did this slow dance with death. I mean, he really got to know it. For most of us, by the way, God willing, you don't get 2 years to see it coming. I don't want 2 years to see it coming. I want to just like step into the street and then poof, it's over, right? You know, like I don't want to think about it all that long, but he did, and boy, we talked a lot. And I remember near the end, he was telling me about these out of body experiences that he was having. It started when he went into the hospital. This is just a couple of weeks before he died. And he's like, he calls me. He's like, hey, man, last night I'm in my hospital bed. And next thing I know, I'm above myself looking down. And I'm like 20 feet up. And he's like, the ceiling isn't even 20 feet. It makes no sense. And I said, what happened? He's like, I'm afraid of heights. I was scared and it was over. And I said, oh. Next day happened again. And it happened again the day after. And then it was happening multiple times a day. And it was about December, I don't know, 12th or 13th. We went down to Connecticut where he lives with my sister and my nephew. And it's weird on a trip like that, because, you know, he's in hospice care now in his house, and you know, that's not a visit, right? I mean, this is that goodbye that everybody complains that they never get. And I walked into his bedroom, and he's in a rented hospital bed, and there's an oxygen machine, uh, and it was a really sunny day. The sun was kind of coming through his window, and he was glowing golden in color, just golden. He was golden. And my brain went into two places. One part of me is like, I know what that is. It's jaundice. His organs are failing, and his skin is an unnatural shade of yellow because he's an organ failure now. But then also he was like enlightened. He was like this Buddha, and sort of beautiful, you know. And we talked for like 3 hours, and I said, hey, are you still having those out of body experiences? He's like, oh yeah, bunch of times a day. I can't control it, and now I'm seeing things. I said, well, what do you mean seeing things? And he said, well, first I saw my cat from childhood. And he's like, I didn't even like that cat. And then he said he saw his grandma, and he was close with his grandma. I said, what do you think this all means? And he said, he said to me, the best I can figure is that there's something inside this broken machine that's getting ready to just bust out and stay out. And 5 days later, he died. And it was just so many emotions. My nephew's 5 at the time, and you're just, my sister's now a widow, and like this hole in your family, and he and I got close. And just a few years older than me, and I was like, man, oh man, and I feel selfish for saying it, but you think about your own life, like, dude, what am I doing? I'm just working every day and trying to do my thing, and shoot, man, that could be me, right? I could get that call tomorrow where the doctor goes, oh geez, you thought you were fine, you're not, and so it was about 6 months later, I was doing an event, a fundraiser, paranormal fundraiser. And I saw a friend from the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. She's like, we got this fundraiser going, Jeff. And I'm like, oh, Amy, I'll help if I can, but I'm really busy. She's like, we're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro to raise money for cancer. And I was like, oh, just, I don't know how many times the universe just holds something out on a golden platter for you, where you're like, do this thing that's been on your bucket list, do it to, memorialize Chris in a way and raise money for cancer. And I'm like, I'm in. And so started training, and then working, raising money. And then in March of 2017, got to go to Africa and spent 6 days getting to the top of that thing and 2 more days getting down. And it was just absolutely life-changing. And the most profound moment happened not at the summit, but close. We were right at the rim of the volcano, a place called Stella Point. And we started for the summit at midnight, because we have to get up and get down, and and you want to see the sunrise from the rim, which is like 18,830 something feet high. And I can't breathe. There's no air up there. Like, the air is so thin, and I've been climbing all through the night and just absolutely struggling to take the next step just to get enough air. And you pass plaques where people have died from the altitude. And I turned around at 6:35 in the morning, and I just see the sun has come up above this sea of clouds, and the clouds are like way, way, way below us. I mean, literally almost 10,000 feet below us. And the sun just cast this golden glow all over the tops of the clouds. And it was like the same color on Chris's skin the last time I saw him. And I felt Chris right next to me in that moment. And I just was like overcome with emotion. And I had this moment of like acceptance and knowing he was there and with me the whole time. And then the best part was knowing that even though the summit was like another hour away, another 500 vertical feet, another like 3/4 of a mile, like I was like, this is done. There's no question anymore. This is happening. I will be at the top. No doubt. Yeah. And then after that, it was just a matter of finishing it. And it was just this profound moment that I'll never forget.
That's wild. That was another one of the questions I had is like, I did Mount Washington, which is, you actually climbed Kilimanjaro. So, I didn't make it to the top, but
Mount Washington, people die up there every year. So like that mountain's no joke. I've done it. Dustin Perry and I did it. And Dustin had some hip problems coming down, and we had to walk down the service road, and it was dark. Like, we're in the woods in the dark. And trying to get off that mountain. It is no joke, sir. Like, it's people do die up there. And this if you made it to the top, you would have seen all the names of the people that have died up there.
I didn't quite make it.
So that's the tallest peak east of the Mississippi in central New Hampshire. But but man, it's you and the mountain, and and that's life right there, right? That's all of us. It's you and the mountain, whatever that mountain is, whether it's literal like Mount Washington or Mount Kilimanjaro, or dealing with a breakup, or dealing with a job loss, or COVID, or cancer, or any number of things that we get in our way in everyday life. It's just, that's what it is. It's you and the mountain.
Well, see, I'll admit on here, even in front of everybody else, I haven't read your book yet. I'll admit it. He's like, see,
wow.
It's over.
You don't have to. I just gave it away.
We'll just get rid of him then.
Wow,
So
he's gone.
we'll just wipe him out. He doesn't need to be there. So.
That's what I get from
Mike.
Robin. All right. Hey, I could say, hey, Robin, if you read it.
We're down there.
I don't read books, so
Yeah.
it's not Jeff's or anybody else's. I just don't read.
But,
I hear Brad Pitt's going to play me in the movie version. That's what I hear.
oh, okay. There you go.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, anybody that hasn't read the book and isn't too familiar with it, like with what you do, can you explain? I mean, like the process. I mean, of like, because I know, like I've kind of read up on things, and you kind of go stages through this to get to the top, right? And then you come back. I mean, this is like several days that you actually do this climb.
Yeah, 6. So the total trip is 42 miles. 42 miles of hiking, and so you do all that by foot. We gotta sleep in tents. And I hate camping. Let it be known. Let me say it, right? Like if you're like, hey, let's go sleep in a tent, like you need to give me a damn good reason, right? I mean, because I much prefer like a big feather bed in a hotel with a bar, right? Like that's my idea of a much better time. But like if there's no choice, like there better be a good reason. And so there's no hotels on Kilimanjaro, no Wi-Fi, no cell phone, no nothing, not a single luxury. But what was kind of cool about it was like, day one, my brain's in a million places. Like, oh my God, is my family okay? Like, what emails am I missing? What phone calls? Text messages, all that stuff. And then, and it's like day 2, day 3, you start to really unplug because there's nothing I can do about it anyway, right? I mean, the world could have literally blown up, and I wouldn't know. There's no way to find out. And then to be okay with that, like as days go by, and as you get higher and higher in altitude, man, the air gets thin. And you got to go slower. It's the only way to go. And the analogy I use is if you've ever taken one of those little, the little tiny thin straws you get to stir your coffee in a diner or whatever. So take one of those straws and just breathe through it. Now, like go for a jog, breathing through that straw. And at some point, you're going to have to slow down to get enough air into your body. And that's what it's like at high altitude. It's like it gets thinner and thinner, and you got to slow down. And that's not a pace I'm used to. I'm a pretty like, hurry up kind of guy. And so I had to like learn a whole new way, which was good for me, And so each day is just its own challenges. And then to realize, my backpack, which had like 15, 16 pounds on me, I had water, I had some food, I had rain gear, I had photos of my family, of Chris, I had the names of everyone who donated to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society in my honor. I had what I needed. And that was pretty crazy, right? To just be like, wow, like I'm in my house, and like, I don't need this shelf, I don't need that chair over there. I really don't. I don't need it. Right. But like everything I needed was in a 15 pounds in a backpack. It's kind of amazing. We don't need half as much as we think we need. And so that was kind of neat too, to just sort of like learn these lessons each day as you're in this incredible, amazing wonderland, hiking up a volcano that's only dormant and not extinct. Like, and then that moment where you're like, that thing goes off.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could run and prolong my death by another 1/10 of a second, or just, salute it and down I go. As the lava flow.
Yeah. Well, if you get a steep enough, incline, then you could always just roll. Maybe you could beat it, right?
Surf on one of my other hike mates, just be like, you're going down. Is Jeff going to climb another mountain? Sure. I mean, there's a million mountains, a million stories. I'd like to do another big one. So there's these famed 7 summits, right? The biggest summit on each of the 7 continents, and Kilimanjaro is Africa, and Everest, of course, is the big one. But there's a couple that there's Elbrus, which is in Europe. That's actually a tiny bit shorter than Kilimanjaro that I'd be interested in trying. And there's one in South America that's the tallest, that's taller than Kilimanjaro. So yeah, I'd like to do another mountain. It's fun. I mean, I'm in my late 40s now, and like, at some point you can only test your mettle so long physically. You know what I mean? Like I remember having this moment, it was a few years ago, where I was like, I'm never going to play in the NFL. Like, I didn't want to. I never played football or anything. but like that's off the table. It's weird, right? When you get older,
Yeah, just in case you just decided, oh, I'm going to play the NFL.
You know
No,
what,
it's
like,
too late.
No, I'm going to start training. I'm going to like get good at football, and I'm going to try out for the team. Like no one ever entered the league at 47. You know, you know what I mean? Like you're
You
just
can play for 1 year
yeah,
and then retire, right?
like, but like like professional basketball, baseball, all the sports are more or less off the table to me now. But like, what can I do? You know, like what things can I still do? And so you start looking at some of those big things. Like you want your own story to be interesting. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, training for that, some of the friendships I formed, going through training for that, and the memories is just, it was life changing. But I also think about like other big adventures I want to have. Like that's just one of them. Like I've got some other ideas as well, but and I kind of want to do Kilimanjaro again one day. Like I can't imagine not going back for that for a second helping at some point. But I do recognize, I mean, even though I work out, I try to keep myself in good shape. I should be good for, number of years still. At some point, your body can only do so much, and we have to know our limits and work within them.
Yeah. I'm like getting all goofy on here. Like I can't half hear now.
Yeah, Greg said Mount Rainier in Washington. Yeah, dude, that's a doozy. I've seen it when I was in Seattle and stuff. Like when I was out there, I've seen Mount Rainier. And then Denali's the big one. That's in Alaska. That's North America's tallest. Denali's brutal. I mean, that's like ice climbing and stuff. So
I can imagine that one.
Yeah, no, but I'll tell you, man, like, but I get, so what happens, the name of my book is called The Call of Kilimanjaro. And I truly believe that some of these mountains literally call to you. Not all of them, right? There's some where I'm like, hey, they're great. But I'm not, you do it. It's not for me. Mount Washington called to you, Mike, and well, I mean, it did. And you answered but damn it, you tried.
I think Nick
tried, yeah.
Nick called Mount Washington for you?
Yeah, he kind of called that one.
Dude, but that mountain, I can't stress enough. A dude I went to high school with had to sleep on the mountain for the night because he got so dehydrated and he had to spend the whole night out there. I mean, that was an emergency situation. He could have died, That mountain is truly no joke. Any time of year, highest winds ever recorded on the planet of Earth were recorded up there. I'm like,
it's insane.
It's truly like people train for Everest on that mountain. I mean, like, so it's no joke.
I've had people who are like, are you going to go back and do it again? I'm like, probably not. They're like, why? And I'm like, you saw what happened the first time. It's so like, I'll maybe do another one or something. I don't know.
You got swollen on your limb. You got too swollen.
No, actually it was the oddest thing that happened with it. I mean, one, my body was giving out because I tell people, I'm like, I'm on crutches. And what some people don't think about is you're on one leg, you're bearing all the weight on one leg. So you're kind of doubled up, with the pressure on the one leg and then the crutches, you add that in. So then you're trying to climb, and Nick was trying to help me as much as he could. I mean, there was areas that he'd just be like, you can't get through this with crutches. So you're going to have to get on my back and I'm going to piggyback you like, 300 or 400 feet, set you down and you can take off again. I'm like, all right. But the craziest thing happened. Like, one, my body was kind of shutting down, but we got a good ways up. I mean, we were getting close. I mean, I could see the summit, the tower and stuff up there. Mm-hmm. I could see it, but he carried me another area and he's like, this is where I'm going to set you down. And his shoelace got caught on a tree branch or something. There was something in there like where he kind of lost his balance. And when he went down, I flew like kind of over him, I guess, in a sense. And then, I went to get up my back and I was just like, my body's giving out. Now my back's hurting. I'm like, I can't do it. So I told Nick, I was like, this is where I'm done. So, and then we had to figure out, like you talk about the winds. The winds were 70-mile-an-hour gusts that day.
Which, by the way, that's like Tuesday on Mount Washington. That's not rare. That's sort of normal.
Yeah. It's crazy, but I
Yeah.
mean, it was goofy. Like it was crazy how it happened. But I mean, he goes up to the summit and tells, he contacts to get for help, and he's just like, hey, this is what happened. We're gonna have to get help to get him off the mountain. They're like, well, can't get a helicopter because of the wind gusts and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So the next thing is like they thought, well, we'll take the cog railway up. But then the thing was, they were like, you're gonna have. We were calling back and forth like with it because we called 911 to then pinpoint where I was at.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, we're going to take the railway up to come, pick you up. But here's the thing, from where you're at, you're going to have to go another half a mile. And I'm like, seriously, why do you think we called you? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm done. So I ended up having to go another half a mile or so. And then Nick came back down the mountain with snacks and water like loaded in his backpack. Because he was just like, what if we have to spend the night on the mountain and stuff? He's like, I wasn't going to ditch you. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, they finally came around and got to where I got to, and then they got me off the mountain, and yeah, it was a mess. From the times that I was having to sit down and just push myself up some of the rocks because I couldn't do it with crutches. My wrists were so swollen. When I got to the hotel, I was like trying to get the door. I couldn't, like, I was so swollen and hurting so bad. I couldn't even grab a doorknob to twist it to go into my hotel room that night. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's not a good first mountain.
No.
Yeah. It's like if I took you skiing, like Double Black Diamond, Jeff, is that really the trail we should start on? No, that's not the trail we should start on. It's the green dot, the bunny slope, right? Like,
yeah.
And so, like, if it's something that calls to you, you should start on much smaller hills and sort of get a feel for like how you work and how you navigate some of the terrain and like what works for you and what doesn't. Like you sort of learn down there before you tackle the big dogs, because that's such a big part of like being outdoors is knowing your own limits. I once interviewed Mark Inglis for a children's book I was working on. Mark Inglis is the only man to ever climb Mount Everest without legs. He has none, zero, right? He has 2 artificial legs. Also the only man to snap a leg in 2 on Mount Everest, hobble back to his tent, put on a spare, and be able to keep going. Generally on Everest, if you break a leg, you're dead. That's where you die. No one's going to be able to carry you off. You're dead. And so, but I remember Mark telling me, and by the way, he lost his legs when he was much younger, and he's been a mountaineer with artificial legs for decades. And so I remember him saying, though, he's like, you got to remember the summit is only the halfway point. When you get to the top, like you're halfway there. If you don't get back down, it doesn't count. And so you got to know your limits. If you expend all your energy to get to the top and you have no way to get down, like it doesn't count. You don't get a checkbox for that. So, and that's knowing your body, knowing your limits, knowing what you can do and working within it. And that's what we all have to do every day, in our whole, in our lives. Like, that's what I love about the mountain is it's the metaphor for anything. It's all there, all the challenges. Like, do you take the easy way up, the hard way up, the fast way up, the slow way up? Do you smell the roses along the way, or do you try to get there as fast as you can? Like, that's life, right? All of it.
Yep.
And sometimes, man, the mountain is insurmountable. It just is. And you got to be okay with that. But at least here's the best part, right? You probably got above the tree line, right? Like,
oh yeah, we got well above the tree line. Yeah.
So the thing is, right? You got to see views that nobody gets to see unless you get there. You know what I mean? Like, so, and there's plenty of spectacular views on the way up. You don't have to get to the top to see them all, right? There's plenty that are, the Tuckerman's Ravine and everything else. Like, you get to see things from your unique perspective, and you took a path that nobody else has ever taken before or will ever take again, right? Nobody's going to put their feet in all the same spots you put your foot. No one's going to touch all the trees that you touched. Like, you did it your unique way. You had to solve the problem every step. And that's what we do in our lives too. And that's what I love about this stuff, man. Is like, that's, like, it's a problem. I got to get up there. Like, how do I do it? And I find my way and you find yours or around or whatever we got to do. But, and sometimes we need help. Sometimes we all need help. And that's just how it is. So, dude, good for you for trying. Next time, start smaller.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
you know,
Just a little bit smaller.
yeah, you know, because that's a doozy, man. Um,
It is, yeah.
I know, yeah, no joke. So yeah, but I know I thought it was awesome. You tried,
Yeah.
and that's I mean that's hey man, and you don't know till you try.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's all about.
Robin's over chuckling, so I'm like wondering what kind of comment he's brewing up
No,
over
I'm
there.
nope, just sitting here listening.
Just absorbing all the information, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll have something to say at some point.
Nah.
Yeah.
no, all
But
good, man.
yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to kind of, talk
Yeah,
about some of
thanks.
that
No,
stuff.
it's a story left. Oh, and by the way, story doesn't end. Um, December 11th, so whatever, like a month ago, I got my very first tattoo. I know. I'm like the last one, right? Like we all have one now.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Robin's last.
Yeah,
Okay.
Robin's out.
So I put an outline of Kilimanjaro on my calf with the word Tumaini, which means hope in Swahili. And but the guy who did it is Rick or Mortis Shrek,
Okay.
who of course
Yeah.
built the
Yeah.
world's largest Ouija board that crushed your leg. So
Yeah.
I designed it
lost my leg.
myself. Rick's a tattoo artist. That's what he does,
Mhm.
right? And so that was one of the things he does. And so I showed him what I wanted to do, and he looked at it. He goes, "Oh, dude, anyone can do this for you. This isn't really that complicated. So have fun." And so I was sort of asking around like different tattoo places up near me in Massachusetts here. And I don't know if well, Mike, you've got some ink, so you probably know this.
Yeah.
The rest of the world might be shocked to learn this, but many tattoo artists are a little flaky when it comes to like scheduling and all that other stuff. They're like, yeah, it might be in Tuesday or Thursday. I don't know. Like maybe at 1 or 5.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude,
9.
my life doesn't work that way. So I was like, Rick's in New Jersey. I'm like, I want you to do it. He's like, all right, pick a Saturday, man. Come on down. And we picked one and I went down and it was awesome. And he totally inked me up. So I'm now among the tatted of the world.
That's cool. Robin's still out. I don't
Yeah.
know if Robin will ever get
Yep.
one.
Nope. Needles and steel don't work together.
Yeah, it's man, it hurts. Son of a gun. You know?
It does. Yeah,
Like-
it does.
Like, why do people do this? I have no idea.
The
but-
funny thing is, like, if I have to, like, go get a shot or whatever, if I'm sick and I need a shot, I'm like, do you really can you just give me, like, a pill and we'll be done with it? You don't have to give me a shot. And then they look at my arms and they're just like,
yeah, you
really?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but you could ask me now, hey, we want to go get a tattoo? And I'm like, I'm in, let's go.
Yeah, let's go get a tattoo, but not a shot.
It's two different things. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was an experience, but whatever. And I wouldn't say, but I'd never found something that I wanted on my body forever. And then like I thought about that moment, that sunrise, that mountain, that everything, and I was like, yeah, that would be cool. Like I wanted on my leg. Like I knew that's where I wanted it. Like these are the legs that got me up there. And so it was I was cool with it, and maybe I'd get another one someday. I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but like I don't. It's not also not. I'm not going tomorrow either. So, all good.
I just thought of another. It's how I lost my leg thing. I can post one of the pictures up on top of Mount Washington.
That's
how I lost my leg.
How I lost my leg. And by the way, I doubt you'd be the first.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, that would not be. No, you would. I really don't think you would be. But yeah. So yeah, no, it's funny how when I started looking into paranormal stuff, all these years ago, mid 90s, I grew up with Ed and Lorraine Warren. I knew them since I was like 13 and knew John Zaffis when he had hair, way back when. And so I started, the first thing I ever did was I wrote an interview for Ed and Lorraine Warren for a local newspaper back in 1997. Like that's when I first started writing about the paranormal. Then I worked on a documentary film and then I did all this other stuff. And it's so cool, like the paths it took me down because I let it, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, well, maybe there's ghosts. Let me go look for them. Let me go to haunted places. And then I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And well, let me ask other questions. I was interested in UFOs and I was interested in cryptids. And so you just keep asking questions. And I'm like, well, I want to go where they were. I want to be in those places. I want to go into the haunts, go into the swamps, whatever. Like, let's go. And and the friendships I've made, like some of the weirdest people, but like also some of the most amazing people, like just,
Yeah.
and it's so strange. And I know I'm not the only person to say this, but like, you go to the paranormal events and stuff, and you're like, wow, I mean, it's a little sad, but this is the only place I fit in. Walk into Michigan Paracon and you like take that deep breath of like, my people, like,
Yeah.
like, I'll, I go to like whatever, sometimes we have neighborhood block parties or something, and I just stand in the corner with my beer, and but there I'm just like, hi everybody, all you fabulous weirdos, like, let's talk. So
Yeah. Yeah. We got to do our little alien picture
Yes.
every year. Like the first year, like to tell everybody, the first year that I went, we were going to take a picture, and then your idea was like, oh, we'll get underneath the light, we'll look like we're, aliens are coming after us and stuff. So now it's like became a tradition that we do that pretty much every year now.
And but the people should know that light, by the way, is like 4 feet from the bar. So, which is hey, let's do pictures. I'm like, I've been drinking for 4 hours. Okay,
don't have to walk far.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's great, and I love the the camaraderie and all that stuff. But like, man, we've gotten to ask some big questions, and when you have that experience, when you're in like a haunt or something and you see something that just doesn't compute, where you're like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't right. That's a game changer, and you don't forget it. You don't forget seeing an apparition or hearing a voice when you're like, no, I know there's only 2 of us in the building right now, and that wasn't us, and you just these things that just change you forever. And then it's sort of addictive in a weird way. You like, you have the experience and you're like, man, so look, I've been to haunts all over the world, and like, Australia and Europe and all over North America and like South America, and Central America. And like, most of the time, nothing happens to me. Overwhelming majority of the time, nothing happens to me. But once in a while, you're someplace, at the right time, and you see something and you just go, whoa, like, that's, what does it mean? And to me, I think the analogy is it's almost like a lightning strike. Lightning strikes the earth like a bunch of times a day, right? All over the planet. It's just not usually that close to us. But sometimes the storm hits and you're there and lightning hits, and you just hope it doesn't hit you.
Yeah. What is
So how'd you get involved with Ghost Adventures, writing for them?
Ghost Adventures was when the show, so they had done the documentary that aired on the Sci-Fi Network, and I didn't work on that at all, but they used that to sort of as like a pilot to sell a series. And once the series sold to Travel Channel, they got an 8-episode deal, and Zach was asking Dave Schrader, hey, who knows haunts like all over? And Dave's like, oh, Jeff Belanger, he's written all these books about haunted places all over the world. He knows the haunts. It'd be great. And so Zach calls me and he's like, hey, you want to work on this show? And I was like, well, shoot, I've worked on this stuff for books and magazines and newspapers and websites. I'm like, I've never worked in television. So, hey, let's try it. And so it was pretty cool to be there from the beginning and see this thing sort of take shape. And it was just supposed to be 8 episodes. That was it. And I'm like, all right. And we've put it together. It was a lot of work, but a really cool creative team. And the 8 episodes were filmed, and they start to air on the Travel Channel. And I'm like, oh, well, we're all done. Have a nice life, everybody. And the Travel Channel's like, hey, this is a hit. How fast can you guys get back to work? And we were like, I guess tomorrow we could get back to work. And we did. And that was it. We've been going ever since. And I mean, I've lost count of how many episodes in the hundreds now, and the spinoff shows. I worked on Aftershocks. I worked on Paranormal Challenge, and then I've gotten to work on other TV series that have nothing to do with Ghost Adventures. And it's just been such a wild ride to see this thing, evolve to where it's at today. And to, to work with the guys. And there's only a few of us that have been there from day one. Like literally, I think 3 or 4 of us. I mean, besides Zach and Aaron, it's just been a wild ride and still going. I mean, I just turned in an episode last week. Look at that.
Yeah, you've kind of answered a little bit of that.
Yeah, got to be cool to watch them on TV and know you've researched and found that place. So the part I work on is mainly the historical setup and the people that come on to share their stories. So when the guys go there, I give them like show notes for like, here's the notes on what people have experienced, so the producers can prepare for like recreations and stuff like that, and then the history of the place, like what we know happened, what the legends are, but what the facts are, and newspaper clips, all that stuff. So when they get there, they know what's what and they know where it happened. I know some teams like to go into a location like blind. Don't tell me anything, just that it might be haunted and let's go in. I don't get that at all. I get to each their own and we're all different people, but like I would be the last person on earth to be like, let's just go into the haunt and see what happens. Like, I don't get it. I want to know everything. That's the way I'm wired. I want to be researched and know names and places and dates and everything. And then if something happens, I can put it into some sort of context. And that's been the approach for Ghost Adventures, and it's been cool. It's neat to be part of it. So and it's funny though. Like I get emails all the time. They're just like, can you have Zach call me? Like it's so funny because I'm just like, the email will say, it's important, please have Zach call me. Here's my number, Joe Schmo, right? And I'm just like, well, let me get right on that. Zach, you have to call this number immediately.
Yep. I drop everything.
I don't know why. There's no reason here. There's no explanation. And I'm just like, I'm not his go-between, and like, just, delete. But I appreciate that people connect with the show and want to find some way in and to get closer to it. And that's cool. But, I can't usually help you with that.
This is kind of lengthy.
Oh, wow.
A large, wondering if Jeff has ever encountered a large number of spinning orbs inside of a home. They range in size from an inch or so, maybe 4 inches across, all spin counterclockwise and dart around the room throughout the house, seemingly with purpose. Colors range from smoky translucent, white to red. It's been witnessed by others and the homeowner, almost like an angry type of some sort of wow. It's still going. It's even cut off. He said something. So, I've not seen that personally. I assume we're talking about seeing this with the naked eye, as
right?
opposed
I think
to
so.
like, yeah. I mean, as opposed to when I know people that have seen orbs with the naked eye, it's usually like one, maybe two. Not a large group of them. So that's certainly interesting. I don't know. I never seen that.
And just Carl's been involved with the paranormal for 30 plus years. He actually lives about 6 blocks from me. So
yeah.
So I know him well.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have not seen that. I don't know. And by the way, I'm never afraid to say I don't know. Most of the time, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think we try so hard to make sense of these weird events and put them into some kind of box. And if I could only preach one thing, it would be that to be okay with the unknown. To say like, all right, multiple people witness this thing. I don't know if we can label it. And just be all right with that. You know what I mean? Because we do. Oh, this is a residual haunting. That's an active haunting. This is possibly demonic, or this is, something else. And like, we just don't know, do we? We just know that something strange happened and it's affecting people. And that's what we go on.
One of the other topics I wanted to kind of touch base on, like I was telling Robin, Demon in the White House. That's something that came out not too long ago. That's kind of interesting. I mean, some of the things on
not
there,
how I would have produced it, by the way. And I was on it. So okay, I'll say it. I don't care. What the hell? I wrote a book called the Who's Haunting the White House, right? About the ghosts of the White House. I believe the White House is haunted. There's tons and tons of stories, evidence, photos, all kinds of strangeness in the White House. No question. And then when I heard demon, I was like, I said to them right in the beginning, long before we ever filmed, I was like, I've never heard any stories of demons, like none at all, zero.
Yeah.
And that was an angle that they seemed pretty insistent that they go on. And I'm like, well, I won't say it. I'm sure you'll find others that are willing to say it, or, but it won't be me. And so at some time, like at some point with these documentaries, kind of all you can do is just tell your side. And sometimes producers will even try to feed you lines. And folks, don't be shy. It's okay to say no. Just be like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. I'll say this, but not that. And so yeah, no, I mean, I never said demons in the White House, but you know, people I think are so like ghosts aren't enough anymore. You know what happened? What
Yeah,
happened to
yeah,
us,
yeah.
right? We used to be cool. You know, like what happened when like ghosts were enough? Like that's not, you needed to be a demon. And what I don't like about the term demon is now we're into belief systems, right? Now we're talking about like a religious view as opposed to just some quirk of nature that is just something we don't fully understand. I get that if you wake up in the middle of the night and you hear footsteps in your hallway, you're scared. I totally understand that, right? You might have an intruder. That's a frightening thing. It doesn't mean it's like some preternatural being that means you harm per se, right? It just means there's something there and it's making noise. And yet so many people want to jump right to like this demonic thing. And I'm like, man, I get it's sexy and all that, but folks, you know, come on. So anyway, I know of no demonic stories in the White House, none, zero. But I've heard plenty of ghost stories about it. And while that production I think had some fun and interesting parts to it, it's not entirely the way I would have done it. But
Yeah.
that's
And
not.
yeah, I mean, that was a few of the things that some of the other things went outside of the demonic stuff. I mean, some of the stories were interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
especially like, with both of the sons, I mean, from um, Franklin and then, Abe,
yeah,
11 years old, both of them died. I mean, the one was tragic, like it was, what was it, a train?
yeah.
It was a
So there
train,
was
wasn't it? And
a
then
train
the
accident. Yeah.
other sick, yeah,
And Abraham Lincoln's son died in the White House of a
yeah.
typhoid like illness, and so that was the most prominent ghost for decades, long after the Lincolns were gone, into the early 1900s. People said they would see the ghost of a little boy, and I mean I remember finding that when I was doing my research years ago. A military aide wrote in his memoirs, that wow, I was visiting the White House and the servants say it's haunted and there's a little boy's ghost in there. And the only little boy to die there was Willie Lincoln. And so it's man, these stories just come up and they come up, and this is a building. When I got to go there back in, oh God, when did I? It was maybe 2007 that I got to go to the White House, maybe six, and interview some of the staff. I mean, it was incredible. I got to interview the chief usher. There was like background checks on me. I needed help from my local rep and stuff. And I mean, I talked to like butlers, like a third generation White House butler. Imagine that. His dad was a butler at the White House. His dad's dad was a butler at the White House.
Wow.
These guys have stories. And the reason they're still working there is they know how to keep quiet. However, talking about their own ghostly experiences, people, I would have thought, like, dude, this is going to be like pulling teeth. And they're like, no, like they would never, ever speak for the president or the first family. Never, ever say, like, oh, well, President Carter told me he saw that. No one would ever say that. But they had zero issue saying, I saw this. Whatever, take it or leave it. I saw a ghost in the White House, saw Lincoln sitting right outside of the Lincoln bedroom, crossed his legs, looked at me, and then disappeared. Strange day. And I was like, wow. I'm like, this is on the record. I'm recording you. Like, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Like they're not going to fire me. You know what I mean? Like they know the rules, right? Protect the privacy of the first family, protect the integrity of that house, but they are human beings. And by the way, the president and first family can be crazy on drugs, delusional, like they're not psychologically evaluated, drug tested, or anything. But the people I spoke to, drug tested, psychologically evaluated, right? Background checked 8 ways to Sunday, and are among the most reliable witnesses you will ever find, right? Presidents, sure, they're not reliable, they're crazy. But butler at the White House, foreman, cleaning crew, groundskeepers, oh yeah, that's reliable for sure.
Yeah, it's wild. And I thought it was kind of cool with the remodeling. The picture they did show on there. Remember the three guys and then the one that you can see through all.
Yeah. That picture's wild, right? So
It
like, yeah.
is, yeah.
So in 1950, the White House was totally gutted down to like the foundation. They were expanding. The east and west wings were being put on. They completely renovated the inside, gutted the whole building. And this photo is taken by the official White House photographer, which means, by the way, that photo is public domain. We own it. We all own it, right? It's an official photo. And you could see like way in the distance, there's like 3 guys, and there's a guy with like a tie on and a hat. And then over by himself, there's this like semi-transparent guy. And you look and you're like, wait, I mean, I can't explain it. I don't know. Right. But that is the official photo from the gutted White House, 1950.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw that and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Robin, if you watch this, you like look for that photo like later on in the show, and
yeah,
it's wild. It's interesting for sure.
It's
what are you doing digging up the picture? That's what I was gonna say. What are you doing digging up the picture? Yeah. See, like right over there. Yeah.
Huh.
There he is.
Yeah. That's crazy.
See these guys, right?
Yeah.
Solid.
Sure.
And then
a little more transparent.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Yep. Well, we're getting about out of time, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's been fun having you on. And
man.
Talk
Thanks.
to you.
Good
And
you
hopefully everybody else enjoyed. Like, I just thought it would be kind of cool, since we could kind of share that story and then, give people a chance to kind of hear, talk, like learn a little bit more about you outside of, the paranormal stuff and everything. So.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's, hey, we all have lots of facets to us. And for me, the irony was, climbing Kilimanjaro was one of the most deeply spiritual experiences of my life, like more than being in cemeteries and battlefields and old castles and stuff like that. That stuff's cool. And it's definitely something that, gets you excited. It gets your nerves tingling. But that event was like deeply spiritual. And to me anyway, like, I mean, I was raised Catholic. I used to go to church every week, and the whole thing. And then I realized that, people get their spirituality in a lot of ways. And when I started first ghost investigating, and I remember being in haunted houses and stuff, and it's like 11 midnight, and you're with a group of people and we're in the dark and someone's doing EVP over there and someone's got EMF meters over here. And I just remember thinking like, wow, this is spiritual in a way, right? Like we're trying to wrap our hands around something that we suspect is there. And if we can find evidence enough to convince ourselves, then it's like this validation for what we believe, that truly something goes on after we die. And that's a feeling I think a lot of us take comfort in.
Yeah. Oh, Robin, you want to ask the question I always ask before I forget it?
No, it's your question. You got to ask it.
Oh, well, I figure maybe you might jump in on that one, but
hell, he's been every place in the world. I don't even know he's going to have one.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You're not going to ask favorite haunt, right? No.
I'm going to ask if you could go anywhere in the world to investigate, wherever.
Yeah.
Where would you go?
That you haven't been.
Yeah, that you haven't been.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've thought about this. I did get to go to the White House, but the only way to get up onto the second floor, the Lincoln bedroom and all that, is you have to be invited by the first family or president. And because I like to keep my campaign donations pretty small, and by small, I mean 0. That's where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable giving nothing to presidential campaigns. And I've been consistent by gum my entire life. Never gave a penny to any of them. Because like, what am I getting for my money, right? Do I get to buy a vote, right? So anyway, because I keep my campaign contributions at a flat 0, I've found that none of them have yet to invite me. But if someone perhaps is a fan or reads the book or whatever, maybe saw the documentary and wants to invite me up, I'm willing to go under any presidency to spend a night in the Lincoln bedroom. That's where I would like to go.
That would be awesome. That's a good one.
I still won't donate, but I would very much like a night in the Lincoln bedroom.
You'll take that night to hang out, right? Yeah,
for sure.
Good deal.
So what do you got coming up in 2022?
So I just filmed another shock doc this past weekend, this one on aliens, which is really cool. I have no idea when it comes out, later this year. Filming another one in a couple of weeks. And then still working on ghost adventures, working on a new book about New England strangeness. And I'm working on a pretty cool project about the devil, the history of the devil, and he's a fascinating character for sure. and like just so something sort of devil related, just a look at him historically and through folklore and myth and things like that.
Cool. That'd
Yeah.
be
You got some
cool.
appearances coming up?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, which I see it's scrolling across the bottom, jeffbelanger.com, I've got tons of stuff coming up. A lot of it's virtual too. So I do these virtual programs for various libraries and organizations that sponsor me. And so I share stories and of haunts and their whole multimedia experiences. Some of them are in person. And those are in various, wherever I'll be. And I'll be back at Michigan Paracon this summer again, which will be great. We got to get another photo.
Yep.
And yeah, so just, there's always something going on, and I'm just grateful for that. So thank you guys for letting me spend some time with you and share some stories.
Thanks for
I
coming on.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
Glad I got the link.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Took a little bit. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened with that, because we've never had that problem before.
He's
Well.
going to have like a big list of emails. His phone's probably already went off. He's going to be checking in a little bit, and there's going to be like 10 different links on there.
Well, I'm glad I made it.
So,
Yeah,
yep,
same
we are
here.
too.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Well, Jeff,
Well,
enjoy
thanks.
your evening. Thanks for coming out again. Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks.
take care, guys.
All right.
Yeah, you
night.
too. We'll see you. Night. That was fun.
Well, that wraps another one. So, yep, it was fun. And next week we have Christopher Booth going to join us.
Yeah.
So, and
Yep.
so he'll be on here. He'll be out here next week with us and talking about paranormal stuff, what stuff he's got coming up. He's got his new movie. I want to say Never Blink. I think that's what it is.
Yep.
Coming out, and then but he'll be talking about that and probably the Attached that came out last year. So
Yeah. Yep. It's another fun show coming up. So everybody
Yep.
make sure you come in, tune in.
so we
Hang
will
out with us.
we'll see everybody next week.
Yep. See you guys. Thanks for tuning
Night.
in. Night. My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.